This is the Christmas Movie Screenwriter Podcast, episode number 18. Hello and welcome to the Christmas Movie Screenwriter Podcast. I'm your host, Karen McCann. The Christmas Movie Screenwriter is a podcast about writing, producing, and selling Christmas movies. You can check out this episode's transcript on the website. Just go to www.christmasmoviescreenwriter.com and look for this episode, which is 18. A quick few words about what I'm working on. I'm getting feedback from a few readers on my faith-based script, and the notes are really helpful. My original idea was to send it out to production companies next week, but I've changed that idea, and I will now attach an actor first. So I'm working on the pitch book, and I'll start contacting the managers of the talent next week. And now, here is the main segment. Isabel Dréan is a screenwriter, director, and producer based in Los Angeles. She started her career in horror and psychological thrillers before pivoting to Christmas movies. The shift to writing holiday movies changed everything, leading to 5 of her scripts being produced over an 18-month period. Her produced credits include Secret Santa, Christmas Beneath the Stars, Christmas on the Rocks, The Holiday Swap, and An Eclectic Christmas. She currently teaches a masterclass titled How to Write a Christmas Movie in 21 Days, sharing her process for quickly writing holiday films. Isabel's passion project, Love Letters to Laos, tells the story of how she ended up opening the first bookstore in Laos after the communist era. She is set to direct the biopic based on her life. She continues to develop features and TV projects across genres, from rom-coms to psychological thrillers, showcasing her diverse talents and dedication to compelling storytelling. Well, Isabel, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I've told the audience a little bit about you, but why don't you take a minute and tell us about yourself and your work?
Well, I'm from Montreal, Canada. This is all where it started. I started as an actress. I think at the time, women were more in front of the camera, so I didn't really think about myself behind the camera. But as I navigated this industry, I realized quickly that wasn't really for me. And in 2000, I basically quit the industry, was living in LA, and decided to go around the world, where I ended up in Laos, as you mentioned. I opened a little bookstore. Ended up staying 10 years.
Wow.
And
that's amazing.
And then after 10 years, the bug of cinema, the hit itch came back.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was like, okay, if I ever have, a regret, you have those big birthdays that make you think, okay, what would I regret if I don't do? And I decided I have to make movies. So I left I left Laos for business and 50 employees with 2 kids in tow. Wow. And came back to the West. I went first to Montreal for 3 years. I launched a streaming platform specializing in web series.
Okay.
Developed over 30 series with very talented upcoming filmmakers. And got to produce and direct my own series called, at the time, Manigangs, which was a murder mystery at the Agatha Christie style. But in 2011, 2012, they weren't quite popular yet. I think we were just before the wave now. A premise that sounds very similar to Glass Onion, actually. Okay. 10 years earlier. Okay. It was a famous horror novelist who invites 5 of his friends. And, he staged his own murder. Okay. So very similar to Glass Onion. And then we did quite well, went all around the world. It was one of the most popular web series at the time. We ended up optioning the show to Warner Brothers. It didn't end up being made, but my first pitch in Hollywood, I sold in the room.
Wow.
And then decided to move back to LA with my 2 kids as a single mom this time. And directing ended up being a little bit more difficult than I had planned with 2 young kids, and pivoted to writing.
Okay.
and made the Nickel Fellowship quarterfinals within 3 months with my first
Hmm.
screenplay.
Wow.
And I thought, okay, maybe I've got something here. Started working with producers, and I had a manager at the time. And that producer, one of the producers I was working with, approached me to write a Christmas movie just before the pandemic. And I said yes. And the rest is history, as
Okay.
we say.
You sort of answered my first question about your journey of breaking into the industry, but let me just expand on that. Breaking in as a Christmas screenwriter, I should say. How did that producer know you as a Christmas writer, or was that just he thought you could write anything?
Well,
Yes.
I'm a good collaborator, and we had worked on a pilot for like a year, and she liked working with me, and she said, "Oh, this thing is coming up." She develops multiple projects. Said, "Do you want to try?" So it was really try, I wasn't getting paid. I was, pitching stories and see if I had an affinity to this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to learn because it's very different, very formulaic, and you have to, and I'm not someone uh, that used to watch those. So I really
Right.
had to study and figure it out. And then in the process, I developed a new system for me to write. And
Hmm.
instead of taking me a year, it took me 2.5 weeks. And
Wow. Wow. Mm.
I basically delivered the script, and they loved it, and asked me to write another. And
Mm.
then we got stopped by the pandemic.
Right.
So there
Right.
was a little delay by a year. And then in 2021, they greenlit two.
Mm.
And then in 2022, they re-greenlit three, and the two producing partners basically asked me to write all three. And so,
Wow, that's an accomplishment. Now, how do you balance meeting audience expectations while staying fresh and not predictable or cliche?
well, I always say, actually, for me, I think the importance in those movies is not to be original. I mean, you can be original if you can be original, but the most important thing is to have heart. If when you write, people can feel those moments, and they feel, laughter and crying, and, like just like your heart gets squeezed a little bit. I
Hmm.
think that is more important than to be original. And that is a
Interesting.
talent in itself, like to be able to lean in those moments where the heart is.
Well, that's interesting. I'm glad you said that. Now, after you finish the script and it's ready to go out, what's the next step? How do you move it towards getting into production?
Well, I mean, if you're doing them with the producer, then the next step is the producer reads it, sends you note, and if you do like me, usually the notes are quite light. So
Hmm,
maybe
okay.
an afternoon, or a couple hours, you do another polish, you send it back. Then you have to know, as a screenwriter, that then the director takes over. And it's possible that things will change and they will rewrite you. I've been lucky. I haven't been rewritten, a sentence here or there, but very
Hmm.
lightly, because my producer director and I work really, really well together. When she sends, some of those are adaptation from novellas. So I would read the novellas, and then you have to try to see how you can elevate the story. And then I call her back within a few hours and pitch my vision. And then so we agree on the vision of where we're going to take it, because sometimes it changes quite a lot. Novellas don't, it's a very different medium. You
Right,
tell
right.
a lot and not show, so you have to. And there's, because I lean in the heart and the romance, sometimes I heighten those, so I change things in the story to bring those to the front, like to have. I really like a lot of romance and a lot of heart in my films. So then I pitch the story, and we go from there. And usually, I mean, she likes what I pitch, so uh and then I write it. So the first one I wrote in 2.5 weeks. Most of them were written within 6, 7 days. The last one, four, yeah,
Wow.
2.5 days plus notes, so about 4 days. But yes, I write them very fast.
That is fast, fast. And are they giving you the ideas, or are you coming up with your own ideas?
So the first one was original, and the four of them were based on novellas by a woman called Melissa Hill. She's got a really strong following in the Christmas genre novella.
Okay, okay,
And so the studio, I guess the producers had optioned her novellas because
okay.
she's got a massive following of readers, which is always good when you make a movie to have a big following. And so, but I actually prefer that they bring the story.
Yes, yeah, yeah. That's the key is coming up with a original, not a well, something we haven't seen before. Which leads me to say, how do you balance the heartwarming Christmas elements with other genres like a heist, or I think I've on one of your Christmas movies, it's sort of like a horror movie.
No, I
No,
don't mix. I don't. I do
oh,
not
you don't.
mix horror. I do not mix
Oh,
Christmas
you
and
don't.
horror. No, and
Okay,
I will tell you, I will never. I will
okay.
never. But I'm actually writing one right now. I'm writing a spec right now. Just for. I mean, I just needed a change of pace, and I had an idea for a new Christmas movie, and it is a. It's funny you say heist because it's called Jingle Bell Heist,
Oh, very good.
and it's a murder. It's not a murder mystery. It's a mystery. It's not a murder mystery. It's a mystery with the Christmas and romance. So I wanted to mix two genres that I love, the mysteries because it's really usually like a puzzle, which I love
Mhm.
puzzle movies, and incorporate that into a Christmas romance. So that's what I'm writing right at the moment. I should be done by the end of the month, but yeah.
Like a Agatha Christie kind of mystery.
Well, but with the romance,
Of
like
course,
more.
of
It's
course.
funny. The woman is a mystery writer, and
Okay,
her
perfect.
about this cat detective, and she ends up in this village, and there's the Christmas bell is
Uh,
missing, and
oh,
so she has to
perfect.
help find and falls in love with the mayor.
Oh, that
Um,
sounds lovely. That sounds
yes.
great.
Yeah.
Now, how would you suggest screenwriters expand their network of producers? And this could include networking or film markets. If so, which ones? Competitions or utilizing online platforms?
Yeah, I'm so despite the fact that I had success with the Nicole Fellowship, I not one to lean in too much in the competitions. I think it's great at the beginning, maybe the first 2 years to test your writing. But once you've got that tap on your shoulder and say, okay, you can write, you're a good writer. I think all these competitions are all owned a lot by the same companies, and they
Yeah,
just change the
right.
brand. Yeah. And they don't
Ah,
do much. I mean, that's the thing. Only a very few are getting results from even winning, which is, kind of, it's like buying a ticket of the lottery. I don't believe in that. So,
right.
um, yes, film markets. Of course, AFM is big into these movies, but also building your brand, getting general meetings, going to networking events, building relationship. Social media is a gold mine to be seen, to build your network, getting familiar with who's making what, have a list, maintain your contacts, keep up with the people that keep growing your network, use life events to keep in touch.
Mm,
Stories on Facebook is a very good way to open a conversation. People don't use stories a lot, but if when you comment on a story, it goes directly into their in Messenger. So you can open a conversation. Oh, what a cute baby. What a nice car. Whoa, what a
mm.
nice trip. How like so it's a good way to open conversations, and then people suddenly feel like they know you. I mean, we are in an era where you feel like you know people even with when you've never met.
Hmm.
So it's a long game. It's a long
Right.
game. But
Right.
if, eventually people do feel like they know you. So when you meet them in person, you can sit and have a conversation. And I always say, if your goal is to sell a screenplay, then you've got the wrong goal. And I know that's
what should be the goal?
yeah, the goal is to build long life relationships with collaborators.
Right. Now, you mentioned that you have this a collaboration with these producers, and you did mention the AFM. Do you attend film markets to pitch your projects, or do you have a representative or a combination of both, or do you just have that solid relationship with the producer that you normally work with?
Well, I know a lot of producers, not just one, but yeah, so I'm not repped, not at the moment. And all of these films I got, I wasn't repped. All the and I am a working screenwriter. I'm a professional screenwriter. I make a living writing. Not everything that I write on is produced.
Mhm.
And I don't write only into the Christmas genre. I write multiple things, but I know many, many producers that I'm friends with. And so when people have assignments, they know I can deliver. They know I'm a professional. I can take
Mhm.
notes. I don't take things personal.
Mhm.
I deliver in time. I turn the, quick turnaround notes. These are the things that make you, um, a good asset. How
Right.
do, and when I talk to producers, executive, it's always, how can I help you? How can I make your life easier? And when
Mhm.
you do that, instead of saying, oh, what can you do for me? How can you hire me? How can you give me money? It's not like
Right.
that. For me, it's really when I talk to someone, if I'm talking to executives, it's always like, I'm telling you, I know that your desk is like this, like a
Mhm.
mountain. I know that you've got all of this. I can be an asset for you. I will make your life easy.
Yes.
I'm going to deliver. I understand what you want. I think like a producer. I know the cost of movies. I'm not going to write 50 scenes with 100 people. I
Right.
understand that I need to do 6 main characters, maybe 1 or 2 big scenes, and few locations, and that I will get into your budget. You tell me to write $1 million movie, I'm writing $1 million movie. And so it's all about what you can do for them, because the more valuable you are to them, they will always come back. That's
Right.
how I turned one screenplay into 5 movies made, because
Right.
I made the life of these producers so easy.
Exactly. Now that is it sounds like that is a great formula for writing assignments. But what about, let's say, you want to pitch various ideas, or more? Are you more interested in assignments?
No, but I mean, the reality is today, if you don't take assignments, you cannot be a working screenwriter.
Right. Right. Right.
You can't live on specs. Specs is a way to get in. Once you're in, then you work.
Yes.
I mean, and I have things that I'm doing as a filmmaker, director, writer, director, and that is a whole different story. But if you're only a screenwriter, just you have to know that your life is going to be writing on assignments. That's how you're going to make a living.
Right.
Most, you take Eric Roth is the like one of the biggest studio writers in Hollywood. You think he writes specs? No,
No.
they
No.
hire him. They tell him you're going to be writing Dune. You're going to be writing this. You're going to be writing that. Right.
Right.
So that's how it is. Even at the highest level, you don't write your own stories. Sometimes you'll have something that you want to pitch, and because you're a name, they'll listen to you. But the reality is, when you're a writer, you write what the studio wants, what your producer. I mean, if you get to that level, but you write what the producers want, and that's how you go from one check to the next
Right.
check, or
Right.
one success to the next success. And I think this is a and I talk to screenwriters, they're like, no, I just want to write my own stuff, and oh, I'm looking for a rep. I'm like, you're never going to get a rep if you're not writing assignments, because that's where the money is.
And that's a good point, because it's as on spec, you don't know what the market wants. You can guess, but it changes every month. What the producers want. So if you can be in the position where the producer tells you, we want a story by the lake, or we want
well,
Christmas,
they will hire you. They will hire you.
Right.
The thing is, the specs is to show. Specs are to enter into the business. The specs are to tell the stories you want. It's like a personal project, and to show your skills. This is what I want to do. This is my brand. This is like, and show like, oh, I'm good at dialogue. I'm good at comedy. I can make you laugh. I can put a lot of heart. Your specs are to show your skills. Once you get into the real world, people will hire you. And then if you're lucky enough, you can sell your specs. If you build those relationships, maybe somebody's going to go, hey, I want to make your movie. But those are like the lottery tickets. Every script is like a lottery ticket that you're putting. It's like a bet on the table. But the reality for screenwriters today, if you look at the numbers of specs that are sold every year, it's not crazy. It's the jobs that pay.
Exactly.
So you have to be able to write things that are not yours, that you don't care as much about, the same way that you would write your passion project.
Exactly. So what is your favorite script you've written, and why?
Well, my passion project is Love Letter to Laos. It's about my life in Laos. I befriended this young boy who loved books, this Laotian teenager, and I became his mentor. And through the love of books, we discovered each other's culture, and I became his guardian. We became a family, and discovered that home is, it sounds cliche, but home is where the heart is, and not, and it transcends race and background. And sometimes you have more in common with with the young Laotian than you can have with people, in the country you were born in,
Exactly. Well, that's great, and I look forward to seeing that movie someday.
Thank you very much. Yes, so to answer your question, I do go to markets. I go to Cannes. I tried to add a new one last year. I went to Sundance. This year I'm going back to Cannes. I did AFM last year. I try to do labs. I try to be, I always say like, be everywhere.
Right.
Try to be everywhere to meet a lot of people a year.
Now, getting a movie made can be stressful. How do you maintain a work-life balance, and do you have any hobbies?
I do not have hobbies. I do not. I've never been somebody who, my hobbies is reading books, watching movies, watching series. They're connected. It's like, and then I don't have to feel guilty because they're connected to my work. I love traveling, but now usually travel is also connected to work because I go to Cannes. I also mentor at the Good Word Writers Retreat in Greece in May, June.
Nice.
So I'm going to Greece to teach and to mentor writers, emerging writers. And so I usually try to combine work and travel as well. But maintaining life balance, I don't know if I maintain it. I'm a single mom. I've got 2 teenagers, so it's a challenge. And trying to make a movie and maintaining the screenwriter for hire, or, writing the Christmas, to me is almost like 2 different jobs.
Right.
2 different brands, 2 different ways of approach. It's very different, but it's you do what you do. You work. It's now I'm trying to take 1 day off a week when I can, but it's not so easy.
Only 1 day.
If I get 1 day, because I'm also teaching. I teach how to write Christmas movies, and I do boot camps. So when I do a boot camp, like right now I'm doing a boot camp, so there's no day off because I need to be there. If my writers get stuck, I need to be there to help them get unstuck.
Right.
So I'm on call. I'm almost like, on call. But it's great because it allows me to focus on my passion project, writing a Christmas. I'm writing a book about how to write Christmas movies at the moment. So I have a lot of variety. Yes, I have a lot of variety in my life. So, you don't need as much time off when you're enjoying what you do, I guess.
That's true. That's true. Sometimes your work is play, as long as you do have a little bit of recharge time.
Yeah. Yes, but writing to me is the recharge, and also teaching. If I start a session of teaching, usually because I usually do it at 7 a.m. I'm half awake. I'm not a morning person, and by the end of the 2 hours, I'm like pumped up.
Okay, good.
I get the adrenaline so high because it's so it energizes me. So,
that's great. That's good to hear. So, what advice would you give to your younger self?
My younger self. Wow. I don't know, actually. I mean, you always think, oh, I would have done this differently. And so funny story. In 99, my first screenplay I wrote in 99, I was trying to write a part for me as an actress. And I had interest by Miramax, and the main character we wanted to play was Kevin Spacey. And then things happened in my life, and I just dropped and left everything, and I didn't pursue it. And I always wondered for many years, I'm so stupid. Why did I do that? Why did I left this opportunity behind? And then 15 years later, you realize, with Harvey and Kevin Spacey, I think I dodged a bullet.
Yeah.
So maybe the advice would be, you sometimes when you feel that you've made a mistake, or that a loss or a failure might have been a favor that the life was giving you.
Yeah.
So there's
right.
Everything is the way it should be.
That's a good attitude. Good. Now, to wrap up, would you like to share any social media details or website links so our audience can keep track of your work and know when your book is coming out?
Yes, very soon, actually. So it's Isabel Dréan, ISABELDREAN, on all socials. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, not Twitter.
Okay.
Hustle Up. I'm an ambassador for the app Hustle Up, who's going public now. So it's a great app for connecting to really good people. They do good mixers and stuff. So I'm one of their 8 ambassador. You can find me there. And if you also want to join and you need a code, you can hit me up on Facebook on one of those. But on all social media at Isabel Dréan.
Great. Well,
and my website, I forgot my website.
Oh, we need your website.
Yes, my website, IsabelDréan.com. And for the Christmas masterclass and everything, it's 21dayscreenplay.com.
Wow, that is cool. Yes, I will definitely check that out. And I'm so much looking forward to when your book comes out. That would be really cool, the Christmas book. So make sure you put that on all the socials, and I'll add that to the show notes when it comes out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited. I'm writing the book. It's based on 120 sessions.
Wow.
So it's packed. It's going to be good. I'm very excited.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. Well, Isabel, thank you for sharing your knowledge and your experience. Thank you for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you so much.
And now here is your checklist of actions to take. Today I have 3. Number 1, emphasize emotion in screenwriting. Focus on evoking strong emotions in your script, whether adapting novels or crafting original stories. According to Isabel, your story doesn't have to be original, and some would argue Christmas movies are a little formulaic. What's important isn't the originality of the plot so much as that the story has heart and moves your audience. Number 2, build and maintain industry relationships. Prioritize long-term relationships over immediate sales. Use social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok to connect with potential collaborators. And attend industry events like film markets to engage with and expand your network of producers. Number 3, utilize competitions strategically. While competitions can be a good starting point for gaining recognition, Focus on building direct relationships with industry players as your career progresses to achieve more substantial outcomes. So, if you don't have a big track record yet, competitions could be one way to get your script out there. Now, the Christmas genre isn't really a separate category for most screenplay competitions. However, the Page Awards contest has a family film category that includes heartwarming, quote, feel-good stories for all ages. Other contests that have specific holiday categories include Emerging Screenwriters and Stage 32. Check out the show notes for those website addresses. Well, that's the show. Thank you for listening. To show your support, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple or wherever you get your podcasts. You can check out other great podcasts and blogs on our website at christmasmoviescreenwriter.com. I'm your host, Karen McCann. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the next Christmas Movie Screenwriter podcast. Bye.